Good morning. This is John Presto coming to you live from Springfield, Oregon. It's 5:30 a.m. and I'm forced to announce that I am the embodiment of John the Baptist and Giovani Francis, um, otherwise known as Saint Francis. Yesterday, I was watching the flares come down over a town in the Gaza, and once again I was reminded of the Star of Bethlehem descending, Bethlehem, and Jesus is supposedly born in a manger because his family, who are the family of David, rejected him. A carpenter's son of a carpenter. Really, really, when Titus defeated the Jews, he had them line up and looked at their hands. And if you had these really soft hands, there's a likelihood that you were of the family of David, who got all the plush jobs and they had a lot of money, a lot of property in Jerusalem when Jesus was born. So if he was born to this family, uh, Mary and Joseph would pretty much have their choice of where they wanted to live. It would not be in a stall with urine and fecal matter, with lambs and sheep and goats and all that. And you would not have these three kings, the Parthians kings, uh, come to a filthy manger with their gifts for baby Jesus, acknowledging him that he's of the lineage of David. So this is an attempt by so-called Christians and Catholics, because that's what all this morphed into, was the great Catholic Church. Um, really was obligated to look at this and say, this is not true, this is crap. And the same could be said for the great rabbis of Israel and yesterday and today. All of the Hasidic uh, geniuses with their Torahs out, studying it, should really move over and get into the New Testament, because Blinken just came back to Israel to call for mercy and ceasefire. Israel has turned into bloody Nazis out for revenge with no end game in sight. Uh, it looks like they just want to keep killing and killing till there isn't any Gaussian left. They're not just going after the soldiers, Hamas, they're going after everybody that lives there. This is genocide, and this is uh, reminiscent of what Herod, uh, King Herod's call for the uh, death of all the babies born around the time of Jesus, because he got it from somebody, some seer or something, said that the Messiah of the Jews is being born on this day, right? So King Herod, who has all the money in the world, his family brought up in Rome. They married in Egypt. They married some of the wealthiest people in the world, because those wealthy people want to be associated with the lineage of King David, because it means money. Oh, that's anti-Semitic. Well, the whole Catholic Church is anti-Semitic. The whole New Testament is anti-Semitic. And there's this alert now all over the world that anti-Semitism has broken out because of what the IDF, the Army of Israel, and when was that time Israel had an army that moved in on its enemies and with earnestness, uh, they went into Lebanon, and they went into Gaza before, but there was only to exact some kind of reaction or punishment, and then they came out. Well, it looks like this time they're not going to come out. They're not going to stop their bombing. And the president, they pretty much stabbed the president of the United States in the back. The office of the president of the United States, through Harry Truman, allowed the Jews to return to the promised land. And they stabbed Harry Truman in the back. They called him Messiah, but that didn't fit into their Zionist. um, and it's a cult. Zionism was a cult. It was around in 1860s, 90s. The return to Zion became the cult and religion in itself. And its secular nature. We've seen some Redjeff and Oren come out and speak, and you look at their Wikipedia thing, so there's not a religious bone in their body. It's Zionism. Must win at all costs. Must return. Zionism, return. And they even approach Hitler. So we got to return. We're Zionists. He goes, yeah, okay, I'll help you. But then they got real snitty in particular, and they had all these requirements, and Hitler said, I'm done with this. And then when murderous cults, with his cult, were calling for, the mass genocide of the Jews, he said, yeah, go for it. I need my troops to feel really bloodthirsty so they can exact revenge upon all of Europe and even Russia for the defeat of Germany during World War One. So those soldiers need to rise from the dead, and yeah, well, I guess we'll just blame the Jews for the Germans losing World War One. Okay, that works, and here we are today. And I haven't heard one super Zionist Christian getting up and going before the American people, saying, "Here's what we believe. Israel has the right to bomb Gaza into rubble and kill every man, woman, child, goat, and chicken." You read this stuff in the Torah, where God Yahweh orders, massive deaths of babies and children and women, and because they're following a different God, they're guilty of adultery. So God's wiping out masses of people that don't feel bad about killing little babies. It's okay. You got my stamp of approval on this. We'll take Noah's Ark. Uh, does it say, I'm tired of gay people. Gay people are evil. So I'm going to flood the whole earth to get rid of gay LGBTQ people. No, he's going after all the sinners. See, wipe them out. That's what those Hasidic Jews, are reading, and all over the place. Brooklyn, wearing black. I got my black on. I got my. It's on this side. Got this. It has to do because I'm connected with the royalty of Bohemia, and I declared the cross and the red star order. I'm the head of that in America because they were considering coming to America because of the oppression. But the star and the Red Cross is the Knights Templars cross because her grandparents, Alice and Baldwin, too, pretty much founded the Order of the Knights Templars when they got married on Christmas Eve. And, uh, and I think when they went to Bethlehem, they get married. They're replicating what the literature says. And this is my discovery. The citation, Wikipedia says there's some kind of rumor about that they're connected to the Crusaders, but that's been proven false. But I just looked at her St. Agnes of Bohemia's family tree, and there they were Bohemond and Alice and Baldwin too. I got William Rosier trying to steal this right now. Bill Rosier, he's dogging my trail. He's connected to a lot of the Templars and royalty through Anne Boleyn. And I told him, he showed me his chart. I said, this Anne Boleyn connection to just about everybody is questionable. And a lot of genealogists are questioning it. And I think I'm related to her. But he's running this through some kind of Jenna Fine thing, and he says he's related to Adam, like in Adam and Eve. Okay, we're done with that. It's amazing. My therapist that I saw for 2 years, she says, I don't know how you survived. I mean, I had a mother who was the most wicked woman ever. She tried to destroy me. She saw her father and me, Roy Rosamond, and her husband. And I remember when I was 16, she came, grabbed my chin and looked in my, I see my father in you, and I see my husband in you. Who are you? And I just knocked her hand away. I'm your son. And this is the kind of thing I put up with this woman. Seduced my best friend, and he killed himself. All right. And that's just, and then it just goes on. I mean, for me to be me is one of the most hardest things my therapist ever heard. She says, how have you survived? Your mother and all your father, and it goes all down like mine. I said, Barb, I wonder that too, and I have to conclude what these three seers said in 1968, that I died and came back. And one of the seers says, are we in heaven? There's proof there's a heaven? That's what these three seers at the Berkeley Psychic said. So I'm saying to Boris, I think I'm just not the person I am when I was born out of my mother's womb. I mean, she's like the great whore of Babylon, Rosemary Rosamond. There's this, I was looking at King Herod's sarcophagus. It's got these roses. And Helena of Aberdeen has got these roses. Apparently Herod's temple had all these rose motifs. So, all right, 14 minutes into this. So yesterday, this appears. Pope presses theologians to be in tune with challenges of daily life and talk with non-believers. Well, the buck stops here. Get in line, you theologians of the papacy. Just talk to this non-believer And then you don't need to talk to any other non-believers, because it'll all fall in place. Go, you arrogant, you must be the Antichrist. You know, I'm John Von John. See, I came in my book, my James Bond book, as John Von John, or John Von Bond, because I was already saying I'm the embodiment of John the Baptist and Giovani uh, Francis Giovani. Giovanni means John Von John. So I come in as him, and then I can see that that's not going to work, because I can read the future. I'm a true prophet. And I say I'm losing my characters in my fictional historic book here. And that's going to force me to really put aside my fictional characters who were speaking for me, my little hand puppets, and speak directly. I said, that day's coming. And I can't do anything to stop it. I'm trying to hide. I'm trying to hide from my mother, my brothers, my sisters, some of my friends, and my neighbors, trying to lock me up, saying I'm a lunatic. They've read my, my blog and stuff. You need to be locked up. You're crazy. You're crazy. You're going to hurt people, as they're hurting me and my animals, right? St. Francis. There's just nowhere to go now. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And there's nothing else to be, because most people can, even serial killers in prison, are visited by their mothers to bring them a cake or something, cookies. And he's able to go, he's eating human heads out of the freezer. Oh, my mom, I love you, mom. How's sis and brother? Are they okay? I can't do that. I mean, that's the truth. I can't fondly look at any of these people that were John Gregory Prescott's family. Were is the word. Because what they did to me as that person caused me to die on McClure's Beach in February of 1967. And I was an amazing person when I died and when I came back, and the year or so afterwards. How long is 1967 to now? So look at, I'm laughing because I transcended mortal duality, as Mayor Baba. I've read Mayor Baba's book, The God Man, and he said that he found the original cave of St. Francis, and he went in there and told two disciples, something's going to go on there. There's going to be some energy happening and some noise. Just don't come in. I got to complete this, spiritual, godly avatar connection to St. Francis in this cave. Jesus, in his tomb, they're rolling the stone back, and the whole thing with Mary Magdalene saying, "Oh, Master, is that your voice?" She turns, and it's the gardener. That's resuscitation, Paul. So anyway, what's the assignment today, John? Peace in the Middle East forever and ever, the Son of Peace. See, Pope Francis is pressing Catholic theologians to be more in tune with the challenges of ordinary people and urging them to dialogue with non-believers as well as believers of various religions. Huh. Like who? The evangelicals who want the end time Jesus to come and raise the temple the Jews have rebuilt? In a document he signed on Wednesday, and which was made public by the Vatican, the pontiff noted that he was updating statutes for the Pontifical Academy of Theology. Since the last revision was issued nearly 25 years ago by one of his predecessors in the papacy, John Paul II. The moment has come, quote, the moment has come to revise these norms to make them more adaptable to the mission that our time imposes on theology. Francis wrote in the document known as the Apostolic Letter. Francis said that theologians must confront themselves with profound cultural transformations. He didn't mention specific issues. Instead, the Pope urged them to adopt openness to the world, to man, in the concreteness of this existential situation, which its issues, its wounds, its challenges, its potentials. Thus, theological reflection is called to a turning point, a paradigm change that commits it to be able to read and interpret the gospel in the conditions in which men and women daily live in different geographical, social, and cultural environments. Wow. Seek, seek and thou shalt find, huh? So I declare myself the rightful Crusader king of Jerusalem after Baldwin II and Agnes of Bohemia. And the Franciscan order just returned to their duties in Jerusalem, where the papacy, through St. Francis, has acquired this property and has a couple of church dedicated to St. Francis. And in Bohemia, there's a couple of cathedrals that are dedicated to the Franciscan order of St. Agnes. So I'm declaring that these are mine. There was no Nazareth when Jesus was born. So when he returned to Nazareth to read from Isaiah, that place didn't exist. They made that up because they didn't want him to return to Bethlehem. If Jesus, they of the lineage of David, had returned to Bethlehem, then he would be squarely in the Torah, the Old Testament, the continuation of the Old Testament. So the people broke off Paul, who said the laws of Moses don't matter. Get behind me, Satan, to Peter, which the Catholic Church built upon. He's telling the people in his church that the Judeans are evil. They're trying to subvert the teaching of Jesus. And he locked a lot of them up and tortured them and killed them, murdered them. They say that Jesus, intervened. I don't buy it. I believe he continued on killing members of the church. Really, I guess to this almost very day, because that's what we're faced with. Because it was most of the things that Jesus was supposed to have done is really to me, these are the things that John the Baptist did. And his teaching was used as the base for the teaching of Jesus, but it was altered to cut the Jews out of their own religion and steal their one God. They created this Son of God thing where there's two mortal beings in existence at the same time. There's the immortal God of the Jews, and there's the immortal Son of the God of the Jews. So they make Jesus God And then, well, what happens to the God of the Jews? Well, he doesn't exist anymore. God has turned his back on his people. He's founded the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church won't let anybody read the Bible, the New Testament, the Old Testament, because they don't want anybody to find out what I found out by picking up the Bible really for the first time in 1968 and reading it. And I really had a divine happening there in this trailer on the McKinsey River. And I actually asked Jesus to appear, and he did. And, and he said, spiritual courage will be met with spiritual courage. And that's what I'm exhibiting now. So what I'm calling for, I wrote it down, and is for the people of the world, the Arabs with all the oil money, to buy South Dakota for the Jews of Israel and move them out of there to South Dakota and divide South Dakota in twain, and Solomon, with the baby, where the eastern half is for the Siddic Orthodox Jews who can't get along with the secular half of Israel. They were in conflict before Hamas attacked. Netanyahu's war hawks and Orthodox rabbis were pretty much, like this, and they were taking away democracy. And they wouldn't condemn what Putin was doing to the Ukraine, and they're still not. And now the world is divided as to who to support. The Netanyahu and the hawks and the Zionist rabbis, or the innocent people of Ukraine, whose children have been bombed, their babies have been bombed and killed, blown to smithereens by Putin, who Israel did not condemn. And I went looking for those articles a couple of days ago, and they're hard to find. They've been buried. I think it's huge. Well, it was very wrong, very evil of what Hamas did to the people of Israel. They should have only fought the soldiers and left the innocent people, the babies, the women. They should not have taken any prisoners but soldiers. I think that was the direction. The leader of Hamas is probably speaking as I speak. It's 6:01 a.m. You're supposed to be on television. So the whole world is now looking at this picture of these flares coming down, these strange rockets and these little lights coming. It looks like a Christmas ornament, And they're showing that. So what I'll be showing is that it was John the Baptist that was born in a Shakat booth, celebrating that Jewish holiday where the Jews came out of captivity from Egypt. And in the Shakat, they build these temporary booths, their property, and dwell in them. So this is where John the Baptist was born. And he was a real Jew. Now, he probably was not, he might have been related to Davidic family, but he was definitely, his father was of the Mosaic line and his mother a daughter of Aaron. And Joseph of Flavius says this was what the conflict between the Levite priesthood, some controversy which he doesn't go into, caused a war with Rome. It led to the war with Rome. And it was John that was giving all the lessons, like with the fig tree. Jesus curses the fig tree because, well, it's just all hogwash. Because uh, there's a thing in the Torah about the gleaners leave fruit on the trees. So that's purely a Judaic teaching. So what I'm saying is, I'm ending the divide that Jesus created and the followers of Jesus and the theologians that wrote about Jesus and overlaid a false teaching over the teaching of John. And he was a real person. He was a real historic person. And he was beheaded, he was murdered and beheaded. And it looks like somebody used a, which I will show in my book, I guess, maybe not. I'll have to reveal that too. That when a king of the line of Judah was anointed king, he performed these rituals because David counted the Jews and caused a plague. And that's what so that teaching was assigned to Jesus and overlaid to John. But really, I mean, on this day, at 6:05 a.m. on November 3rd, 2023, Jesus doesn't exist anymore. And I'm calling upon the Pope to bring 3 of his theologians. They come to my house, sit in my living room, and challenge me on this. Or I'll come to Rome. Why don't you say, Pope Francis, invite me to sit with your theologians and I'll show you. I'll go through the whole Bible. Because it looks like I'm also the embodiment of Elijah. And there's a big, crazy, bogus debate about John being Elijah, and they ask Jesus, Elijah, and it's this thing. It's this dance that's been going on for 2,005, 50 years, whatever. So let's end that. I can end that. Get it recorded, who I am. I'm John Von John, plus Elijah. They put John spoke as an infant. I think I've proven this. They put him in Elijah's chair to ask you to use Elijah, and he pretty much answered at 8 days of old. He spoke and wrote it down. I am Elijah. Wow, this is great. Second coming Elijah. Okay, well, I didn't bring any water. So here I am. Let's start the I guess the third exodus to South Dakota, because the world can't live in this territorial thing over there. Most of the people are followers of Islam and Muhammad, and you can't put these Zionists, secular Zionists cult with rabbis thrown in. You can't. And then you can't have these wonderful liberal, secular leftists being crushed on all sides. So these are the people I'm coming for, and that's who I'm going to aim this teaching at. That Pope Francis said, go out there and talk to non-believers. Well, I'm going to be addressing a lot of this to the secular citizens of Israel, and sell them on South Dakota, and show them when I'm these videos, and show them that I've come for them, because all these believers got it wrong. and they're getting it wrong, and they got no solutions. It looks like this might start a third world war with more death and more destruction and more killing of the innocents. So I've come to stop that with theology. I'm hearing the call of the Pope of the Catholic Church. I was raised Catholic in Oakland, California. We were sent to Corpus Christi Church. Sister Vicky went to uh, Catholic school. All right, you be careful out there. This is John Gregory Presco, the embodiment of John the Baptist, and St. Francis, Giovani, and I probably the end time Elijah that Herbert Armstrong spoke about, and that's where I'm coming from in terms of broadcasting this message from the defunct Radio Church of God that Herbert Armstrong founded, that his son betrayed and forsake. And I adopted it when I adopted my homeless friend Hollis Williams 5, 6 years ago now. Right? You take care.